So there's a huge question out there, which is, how do I find out what God's will for my life is? And so many people struggle with this, and especially young people. And I can just say from my own life, I did too. When I was in my early 20s and wrestling through this in my late teens, just really struggling with this whole question of what is God's will for my life. Well, over time, I've come to kind of figure out what it is, and not every little detail, but I'm going to share with you some of the things that God has taught me. And the first one is this: we need to understand that God has a moral will. God commands in Scripture all kinds of commandments. The Ten Commandments is a great example in the New Testament. There's all kinds of commandments where God says, do not do this. And he's talking about moral things like stealing and working hard. He's talking about not committing adultery, not coveting, not gossiping, not malice, and do not be angry. All of these things are moral commandments. And that's God's will for you. It's just that simple. The other side of it is maybe more of a specific will. What should I do? Where should I live? Where should I go? And how should I live my life and fulfill God's will for me? Well, that can be understood by understanding how God has created you. In Psalm 139, verse 13, it says, "You were formed in my inward parts. You knitted me." This is David speaking. "Together in my mother's womb." God created every person. The Bible teaches that God has uniquely gifted and with natural abilities and spiritual gifts for those who are Christians, and called them to specific things because of those gifting. The man who loves working with his hands because that's how God has created him is called to work with his hands. It's pretty obvious. The guy that just loves doing stuff with computers, the woman who loves raising children, the woman who wants to run her own business and all that kind of stuff. That giftedness or those natural abilities that God has placed inside the person help us discern what God's will for our life is. And so when we understand that God has knit me together and he's put certain attributes inside of me, then I can fulfill my destiny by doing and understanding how God has created me. And when I understand how God has created me, I can live in his will. I can live in this awesome place of freedom to do and to be who God has created me to be. And it's not some legalistic thing. It's just this, think of it as a beautiful garden where you can go and do and pick things the way God has called you to live.